Have you seen Ariadne?
Yes, she's just here.
Of course.
Come in.
Of course.
Good morning, everyone. So we are going to start the first General Assembly. The first General Assembly of RAMICS since its inception in Salvador da Bahia in 2015. Before starting this, I will have 2 or 3 messages. The first one is what you can see here. There will be a postgrad student meeting at... That's over, I'm sorry. Okay. So the second message is something different. You've got headsets, translation headsets, and I have to remind you to give back your translation headsets when you leave the room, unless some risk to be lost, and maybe identity cards will stay here. Yes. So I've got...
What is the language of this assembly?
English?
The language is English, yes.
Or something like that?
Not native English, as you can see.
English as a second language.
Sorry for that. And so Ruby, I don't know if Ruby is here. Okay. If you see Ruby, you can say her that, tell her that we've got her identity card. So another point is that we are going to open this General Assembly. Everyone is welcome to this General Assembly. There will be votes, and only paid-up members have voting rights, of course. So for these voting members, we should now give you a voting form. Thank you. I think there are enough. A voting form, and you will vote during this General Assembly, and at the end of the General Assembly, you will give us your ballots and sign a form to just say that you were here. Let's start. So, the General Assembly is open. The agenda is here. We will start with an annual activity report, financial statement, news from RAMICS family, the IGCCR and the CC Literature Data Bank, the perspectives, internal regulation, and some changes about that, changes in the Constitution. We have a few points to adapt. We are a young organization, and we learn from a series of difficulties and rigidities. 7th point about management committee elections. We have to elect a new management committee. And 8th point about other points to be considered. For the moment, there is nothing inside. If you have questions, comments, reactions, and so on, this will be notably the place to do that. So, starting with the first point, the annual activity report. A few things about this activity report, starting with the creation of the associations. So, this is sort of a reminder of its creation in October 29, 2015, during the conference held in Salvador da Bahia, where we constituted the association. Nearly 30 persons were in this constitutive General Assembly. Then a quite slow institutional process were implemented with a registration, a legal registration of the association in the framework of the French legal system. So December registration to the French Journal Officiel, then another registration into the French directory CIREN. CIREN is a directory of organizations, enterprises, associations, and whatever. So this was in February 2016. And then we finally had an account opened in March 2016. The account has been opened in Cooperative Bank. The bank is the Crédit Coopératif, which is a quite small bank in the French context. And this bank is maybe not the best ethical bank in the world, but it's maybe the best or one of the best or the two best in France in these sort of things, say. The management committee has been defined, elected in Salvador da Bahia, and you have in this table us 5 of this management committee. So I'm the president, Georgina Gómez is the secretary, Rolf Schroeder is the treasurer, and 2 other members, Ariadne Scalfoni-Rigo, who organized the last conference in Salvador da Bahia, Brazil, and Makoto Nishibe. Maybe a reminder of not the activity for the moment of the association, but a reminder of what it is about, what are the missions of this association. I think it's important to keep this in mind. So the missions were initially to promote, I'm just reading the preamble of the Constitution, to promote academic research on diverse monetary and social exchange systems. And this association focuses especially on innovative schemes that contribute to economic diversity, social cohesion, democratic participation, and environmental sustainability, like complementary and community currencies. And in a series of details about or precisions about this mission, we stressed the role of history and evolutionary processes in the formation of monetary systems. This research is focused on the varieties of money and currency systems. It aims at analyzing in theory as well as in policy, notably through connections with practitioners, policymakers, and various observers of these systems. And actually, this is what we see here in Barcelona. We try to make the connection between academic researchers, practitioners, policymakers, various observers, and so on. And this is an originality of the association. If we compare this association to other academic associations, the originality is to focus on research, of course, academic research notably, but also to try to open links with all the people who are committed in the subject which is at the core of the association, complementary and community currencies. Another point in the missions of this association, it does not intend to develop its own research programs. It's just something that tries to promote research done by its members and all the community in general on complementary and community currencies. Yes. With regards to activities, we have done a series of things, of small things, but we had to create this association from its very beginning, so this was quite long and time-consuming. We opened a website. I think everyone here knows it. If you don't, you can visit the website. We implemented a common graphic charter with the IGCCR and with the CC Literature Data Bank. We launched the membership in 2016, and I'm going to go back on this point. We decided that this will be a membership for 2 years, 2016 and 2017. We have today 49 paid-up members. We also opened a Twitter account with a small 85 followers, but okay, it's not the same number as the President Trump, for example.
Fortunately.
Fortunately, yes. But this is the real, not the real president, but the real RAMICS account. Trump has got a real president account, something like that. And we partnered 3 conferences. The idea of partner conferences was to spread information about CC research. This has been done in a first conference in May 2016, an IMES Polanyi conference in Paris. A second conference in June 2016 in Lyon. It was about monetary institutionalism, which is a way of thinking money. And a third partnered conference in Gijón, close to this place, on Vircoin to SME, and Josep Luis de la Rosa was the organizer of this conference. We also hired a fellow, Teodoro Crescione, about a mission. He's here. Thank you. On a mission on IT and communication, because we all are quite old. We were born during the 20th century, and we needed people who were more aware than us about technical questions. So thank you for your volunteering on this mission. And Teodoro participates to some of the MC meeting exchanges. We launched a first newsletter in February for the members and for people who subscribe to these to information on the website of RAMICS. And Georgina here contributed to the organization of this conference in link with August Corons, who of course is the leader, the boss of this conference. So here are the activities we implemented since more than 1 year now, 1 year and a half. Do you have questions about or comments about these activities?
Okay, I note that there were no questions.
Okay, thank you. So, yes, I wanted to add this thing, I'm sorry, that RAMICS is still a young organization. As you can see, we try to implement things seriously, but slowly with the time we had each other. And I think that we still need consolidation, strengthening our resources and what we do, finding new ways of promoting research and so on. And so we are still in an early development phase, actually. So if there are no comments or questions, the point is here for the members is to vote. So you have 3 possibilities. You see the first line, annual activity report, yes, no, do not vote. And of course, after we will count the ballots. The second point is the financial statement. It has been prepared by the treasurer, Rolf Schroeder. So, yes?
What means yes?
Yes, you agree with, you vote favorably to this annual activity report. you don't disagree with what has been presented.
According to the mission that was read initially. Of course, we could have done more, but that's not what you're voting. What you're voting is, this is in line with the mission of the association I'm a member of.
Yeah. So the second point is about the financial statement. So you're going to see that this is a still very young organization and not so big. So at its creation, RAMICS benefited from two donations. One from the ISS in The Hague. 1,600 euros were granted by the ISS to RAMICS, and one from the AG, which is a small association in Lyon, which granted 195 euros. Two accounts were opened. One in the bank I just mentioned before, the Crédit Coopératif, and a PayPal account. And at the end of the last year, as you can see, the assets of the association. So with total assets of 1,842 euros and 72 cents. And you can see the distribution between the PayPal account and the Crédit Coopératif account. So this is not a big association, of course. Sorry? Yet. Here are some details about the financial statement. Every member received this point, actually. So expenses and revenues, expenses of a total of 477.50 cents, revenues of a total of 2,320 euros and 22 cents. So there is a surplus, which hasn't been used yet, and which will serve in the next developments of the association, given that this is something not so big, and so this can be consumed very quickly, actually. And so in the lower part of the slide, you can see the general assets of the association. The situation is quite good because we don't have any liabilities, just assets. Do you have questions, comments about this financial statement?
Between the donation and what was on the previous slide.
Yes.
There's a part program, so I think they promised to pay.
Can you speak a bit louder? We can't hear you. Oh.
Yes, the question was about. Okay.
I see a difference between the donation. Yes, the one here. So it's 844. That's there's 844. That's still being a promise.
No, it has been granted but not paid on the accounts. So I'm sorry. This financial statement comes from the accounts of RAMICS, but as you can see here, in the two donations, part was off balance, off accounts. So the ISS directly paid for some.
Shall we explain?
Yeah, if you want.
What's a contribution in in kind that was?
Let me explain how it went. Because ISS is a public institution, it cannot donate money. Yeah, but we can pay specific fees, and this money was committed to build the website. Since the website was cheaper to build than the money we actually had, this money never went into RAMICS. So this amount exists only in the accountancy, but it was never actually paid.
It's a contribution in kind, one can say.
Yes, it's.
You only get it if you spend it. Since we didn't spend it, we didn't get it. Yes, but there wasn't. The budget year has finished, so no.
Yeah. Okay, for example, DAG.
Is that clear? Yeah.
DAG paid the official registration of the association in the French legal framework. So this was not some money that was paid to RAMICS, but the AG paid something for RAMICS. Okay? Other questions or comments?
This is for legal reasons, yeah? Yeah. Okay.
So now you can vote. This is the second line of the voting form. And third point, maybe a few words about what we call between themselves, ourselves, RAMICS family. So the IGCCR and the CC Literature Databank both existed before RAMICS, and they exist outside RAMICS, but they are part of the same movement of promoting research on community and complementary currencies. Some words about that? Wolf, Georgina? About the recent developments?
Yes, let me just start with CC Literature. CC Literature is a data bank developed out of a collection of literature. I started the project in 2006. I had collected literature before, of course, and at the beginning it was a simple list, and then it developed into a data bank which was become larger and larger, also due to the input from some colleagues from Japan and from France. And meanwhile, some others here who are present here have joined the team. So it's, I hope it will grow. It can be found under cc-literature.org, and so far it has more than 1,500 titles. Contributions in a variety of different language. I think that's a very peculiar aspect. This is not meant to be anti-English, but we try to collect really material in Japanese and Polish, for instance. Although not many people can read it, but I think that's important. It's a bibliography with annotation, and it is and it will be available open source also in the future. There are many other questions I can address. For instance, why certain titles are not included, what are the criteria for selecting titles. I cooperate with Stephen de Moilenaar, who is also providing lists with literatures. All these questions I'm going to address this afternoon in a special session just about this project, and it's going to take place here in this room at 5 o'clock. So, of course, if you can't be there in the afternoon, and if you have more questions or would like to be more, I would please to answer it. That's something I should add. Right now, due to my obligations also and my work on RAMICS, I didn't manage to do the debugging, so it's far from being perfect, but I think we made a start.
No questions? Okay, then I go to the IJCCR. And there was quite some progress this year. Part of it thanks to Auguste, who also did a kind of an internship with the IJCCR. And as a result, by now, every single article has a DOI. For those that don't publish in the academic literature, this is actually what allows articles to be found all the time, permanently, because it's a storage of metadata in a secure place. So this is absolutely required for any journal to look professional and any publication to be acknowledged as such. The next step, by the way, the journal was included in the main research websites like academia.edu, ResearchGate, Google Scholar, So the difference is that if you typed an article that you have published in the IJCCR last year, Google Scholar would not have found it. And if you do that now, it will be found. So this is something that increases substantially the visibility of the journal and also the acknowledgement of anything that is published in this journal. The next step would be to list it in lists like Scopus or EconLit and so on, again, because this would give points or more points to the journal, improve its visibility, improve its impact and readership and so on. So that would be the next task for the journal. We are actually working on finding out what different countries acknowledge as academic publication, and because different countries have different lists, there is no general list. So all these ones that I've mentioned, World of Science, Scopus, etc., they are privately managed and privately run. So at the moment, we are in this process of gathering information on what different countries acknowledge and list as academic publication. So if you have information to contribute on this, I'll be very grateful. The other issue is language, and this is a challenge that we face with the journal, because the journal is in English, but I would say 90% of the articles are being published by people that English as a second language. So indeed, we do have a bit of a challenge with the language. The computer corrects automatically. Well, the computer is not too clever yet to correct our language. So we do have a bit of a challenge, and people whose English is not too good sometimes cannot publish their articles because it's not up to the standard of a journal. And I was wondering, we were just starting some conversation with UK time banks, perhaps retired teachers would like, well, this is something that we still have to discuss. And if there are people that would like to, again, volunteer and help us on this, help is appreciated. And of course, reviewers, this is the other challenge. We have a relatively limited list of reviewers, and every single article has to be reviewed by at least 2 persons. This is done anonymously, so I can criticize Jerome and he will never know. That's the whole idea. But we need 2 reviewers for every single article, and we try to keep this reviewing process within 2 months. I have to say we rarely succeed because people are so busy. So once again, we are always trying to get more people involved. This is, of course, a challenge, I suppose, like every other collective action and volunteer task.
Thank you. I may add something.
Questions or?
Yes, just to stress the point that for promoting research on CCs, that it's very important to get a visible IGCCR. And it's important that in France, for example, our institutions recognize that this is a valuable journal. If not, this means that scholars are not incited to publish with the IGCCR. They are more incited to publish in other journals that are listed and considered as valuable for the development of their career, for example. Okay. Any questions, comments?
No.
Okay. So, yes? Please, microphone.
Or speak very loud.
Okay. How will you select the articles or the papers from this conference for the journal? When it will be finished, the selection process? Thank you.
We still have to discuss that with Auguste. There is no limit because this is a digital journal, so we can publish whatever whatever amount we want. The main criteria will be based on quality. Yeah, so every article needs to meet the basic academic standards. There has to be some propositions, some theory, clear concepts, a theoretical framework. Because IJCCR is a mixed, academic professional journal, our standards are a bit lower than if you want to publish in the Cambridge Journal of Economics or, these big names. But still, we do commit to certain academic standards. And they will be selected based on these criteria. Now, we are still working on the issue that came out of the previous conference in Salvador. For various reasons, this was also delayed. So actually, we will be working on two special issues more or less at the same time, but I think the time frame is at least 1 year from now. Yeah.
I'll try to speak up. Do you hear me?
Yes, thanks.
When a paper is not selected, do you send feedback to the author so that maybe they can update it and so that it meets your criteria?
Well, we do it as every other journal. The first selection is done by the editorial board. So if you write about the origin of life on Earth, for example, it will be rejected immediately and it doesn't go to reviewers. This is, I would say, something like, I don't know, maybe 20% of the papers don't have a clear topic. So in order not to burden the reviewers further, we just reject them because this is something that has no future as an academic article. Yeah? So this is the first step. If you pass this first step, it is sent to 2 reviewers. The idea is that each reviewer sends at least 1 page of feedback. At the moment, we are in an average of 1.5 to 2 pages. Mm-hmm. But at least we tried, yes, indeed, to send feedback to the reviewers. Most of the time, the answer is make changes. You have a future with us, but please make these changes. Okay. And most of the time, people make the necessary changes and then it's published. So it's rare that we do more than 1 round of reviewing and changes.
Okay, thank you.
But you realize that this takes time. That's why we are speaking about 1 year minimum. Yeah.
Other questions, comments? So we can go to the 4th point about some perspectives for actually this year and next year. So the perspective actually are completely linked with the mission of the association, and we should just go on with our efforts for implementing and promoting an infrastructure for research on CCs. And thus, we think that what should we develop now? Communication. We started, of course, with the basic tools for communication as the website that has been built since the beginning, especially with the help of Leander Bindwald. We should now maybe develop activities in social media, but not every sort of social media. This is a research association and academically oriented, and so this will be activities on platforms like maybe ResearchGate and so on. We also are going to develop things with conferences, and the first one that we can announce now is, and maybe Rosica, you will, if you want, you can say a word about that. There will be a conference in Sofia, in Bulgaria, in next October, 12 and 13 of October, on monetary regimes, 20 years of currency board in Bulgaria. So this is a conference on money. Maybe the title refers to a specific topic, but there will be something larger in this conference, and RAMICS will be part of it. Do you want to say something about that, Rosica?
Yes, thank you very much. The Monetary Research Center is a structure center in the framework of the University of National and World Economy in Sofia, Bulgaria. And we're pleased to invite all the participants of the conference to come to Bulgaria and to attend the specially organized session on complementary currencies in the framework of the third conference. And actually the topic is monetary regimes about the anniversary of 20 years of currency board in Bulgaria, but we'll organize sessions in several languages and around the money, the theory and history and practice of money, there is a place for complementary currencies. And so we follow the practice and the history of Argentina, so we can share some experiences on that, and so everybody's invited to apply.
Thank you. Another point in the close future is about next year, 2018. The fact is that this association notably must have annual general assemblies, and the best is to get conferences to organize a general assembly. And anyway, this conference is part of a stream of biennial conferences, big conferences, but we need to develop yearly meetings. And we have now to think about next year's conference, a conference that will not be especially on CCs, but that will host something on CCs, and that could be a place to meet and to organize a RAMICS General Assembly, where we have an idea. This is not certain for the moment, this could be in Kyoto, where there will be the next CIMSC conference. CIMSC is the Society for the Advancement of Socioeconomics. This is a place where people from especially sociology and economics, but also geographers, management studies, political studies, and so on, can gather and discuss their researches. And the next one is in June. Not the next one, but the next one is in Lyon, actually, next June. But that of 2018 will be in Kyoto, and this could be a place for something about CCs and a General Assembly for RAMICS. But we don't know for the moment, and we will keep in touch about that. And lastly, we have the question of where will be the fifth conference of RAMICS. We have some ideas. Discussions are being held now, and this will be announced at the closure of the conference today. So please stay here and listen to the conclusion of the conference, and you will have the place, the location of the next RAMICS conference in 2019. Other points in the perspectives, we would like to implement some sort of scientific support with a prize, a Best Article Award, that will be granted to a scholar or a young scholar in our biennial conferences. This is something that many academic associations develop in order to make to develop the visibility of this sort of research. And this can be interesting also for young researchers especially, and we would like to implement such an award. And lastly, one important thing is to find sponsors. As you've seen, our resources are quite limited. They come from membership fees, and with these amounts we cannot do many things. And so one important step now is to start to get sponsors, international sponsors. The interest of such an organization can be to gather funds from various sets of organization throughout the world, say, why not? And we just have to start this process. It's not easy, actually, and so this is one of the perspectives we have now. Do you have questions or comments? Yes, of course.
Let's see if there are questions. Yes, Hugo?
Two questions. One is for the normal AGM, which has to take place every year, as I understand. Is it possible to attend an AGM
By Skype.
offshore, so to say? I mean, digital for the annual AGM.
The General Assembly, you mean?
Yes, the
Yes.
General Assembly.
Yes.
By Skype.
And the second question is on the perspectives. Do you also envisage to work further on the lots of websites that have been built, also subsidized? I think, for example, on the CCIA website, to integrate it in the RAMICS, yes, sir, in your perspectives, in your further plans.
No, this is another conference. Other websites of practitioners, basically. So we are the answer is what
the question, but
if
anyway.
we're going to integrate. Do you want to answer the first one on Skype?
Yes. We have to find a solution for General Assemblies through electronic ways, of course. This is important. For the moment, we haven't this solution. So, yes.
Again, we are stuck with the bureaucracy. The association is registered in France, and the the regulatory framework in France does not provide for Skype General Assemblies. So this is a great place to brainstorm. If you see a solution around it, it would be welcome.
Anyway, we have to think about that. But she's right, French bureaucracy is something interesting.
He's from Belgium, eh?
But maybe this is, I have a proposition to vote by proxy and then attend the meeting by Skype. So you look at the meeting and you vote by proxy. You send a letter to you beforehand what you would like to vote, and you just watch the General Assembly by Skype.
Yes. Why not? That's possible. One technical question I have is about Skype. It's not very efficient. We often have technical problems with Skype, and if there were other schemes, other tools for that, this would be good. Zoom? Zoom like a Zoom?
Again, French bureaucracy is interesting. Voting by proxy is also, we also got a number of challenges, like we need to ensure that everybody votes only once, that everybody casts a vote, even if it's a I don't vote.
That's present.
You can delegate power of attorney to someone who is physically there, and that person is connected through Skype or anything else. So legally, that person has the right to represent whomever delegate the power, and is in contact with that person, wherever that person is. So that would be an option legally.
Yes. Okay.
On the second question of Hugo about the networks, this is something that we are still brainstorming about and trying to get to a formal policy. Well, the name sounds bigger than what we have in mind, but what to integrate into RAMICS and what not to. Because in the beginning we were tempted to network and integrate everything, CCIA, everything. And then we said, well, but this is not what RAMICS should do. There are plenty of other places, Coins website, there are plenty of other places where you can find this information. So we are still in this thinking process of, the temptation to do everything is very big, but also this has costs in terms of time and so on. So we are designing. What we would like to do, in fact, is to invite everybody that has a research project, a PhD, the one that Ricardo, for example, has a research project in Argentina, to include it in the RAMICS network, because this sort of network mapping would show who we are everywhere and so on. So this is an open invitation for everybody to include, even if it's a link, you know, some people have their PhDs listed in ResearchGate or academia. So, well, this is who I am, this is my website, this is what my project is about. So then we can have a general overview of what is this sector and who are we and so on.
Edgar?
So to add to Hugo and to be very close to what you propose, I also think it's nice if we have several portals where we find certain types of information, one of being the academic one, but it is of course also important to have links to each other so we can find each other. Mm-hmm. So there should be in each of them something like links to other interesting stuff, and there you find them, which solves a problem to other language areas, and it solves also a problem to, for example, the CCIA website or the Community Currency website or Stephen's website.
Yes,
that's easily done.
Links between each other, yes, that's very important. We have on our website, of course, like others, a page on links, maybe not complete for the moment, so we should improve this. Yes. Another question?
Yeah, I have one question here on your left. My question is, I've been involved in the monetary innovation and complementary currency research field since 2010 now. And I'm doing it with self-financing. So my suggestion will be maybe to put a page related to open PhD and postdoc position, and even maybe some grants wherever in the world. Because at the postdoc meeting on the balcony, there was almost nobody. So I think the lack of money for this research is still a problem. So maybe just one page specifically for PhD, paid PhD position, postdoc paid position, or grants, links, or stuff like that will be very helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes.
Again, the problem is always the same. What do you include? What do you not include? There are all sorts of open PhD positions. I come from the field of development studies, so I could post a PhD position for development studies on anything, but that's not specifically on CCS. So should it be included, should it not be included? And each time we wanted to include something, we faced the same question. And we are still building the criteria to be able to decide and not have a big negotiation each time. So we would like to have something on which, you know, we routinize this decision of what we include and we do not include. On the other hand, there are plenty of portals where you find PhD calls. So I don't know if we can add anything by including the same links in RAMICS.
At least, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right, but at least we can, if we have the information, because if we don't have the information, we cannot do that. If we have the information about such opening programs, grants, PhD, postdoc, and so on, we can put it on the website. My fear is that there are not so much possibilities, and so the page will be blank for some time. That's a problem. But if we have things about ideas and info about that, yes, we should do that. You're right.
I would also add.
Sorry, Rolf.
Can I perhaps say something very to Christopher? I think the point you raise is very important. For me, it was one of the major points really to join in this effort to found RAMICS because I observed in Germany that there has been research going on for many, many years. Over 20 years, there have been 16, 70 people doing their PhD, but they didn't stay on board. And that's, I think, a reason why sometimes the quality of the research is not so good, and it's due to the fact that this field is not acknowledged. So a major question is, a major challenge is really to keep the people who have been doing their PhD, how to keep them on board. So far, there are just, well, less than a handful who succeeded to do this. But this has to do with our overall objectives to, to increase the reputation of this field of research.
Thank you.
I actually wanted to add something to the previous question from the page, like where you would put links so we can find each other. Instead of you doing the work, why don't you create an open page where we can input our own information, that you can crowdsource all that information, because that would take the burden off you and actually put some responsibility on us that if we want to be found, we have to put in a little bit of work.
That's the idea with people. That's the idea we have with research projects, that everybody can post their research projects, but we reserve, of course, the right to delete it if it's about the origin of life on Earth. Yeah.
We have to control.
It's very interesting, but not CCS related.
Okay. One last question, maybe? Two? Okay. And this one. Three.
Concerning the announcements, the calls for applications for positions or PhDs. Well, yeah, I mean, it's true. If we are searching for PhDs that are directly related to currencies, this is not very easy. One issue is to see whether we can use calls and openings that are more general, like sustainability work and funding that exists in positions. And the other question is whether openings or calls for workshops for young researchers, whether they're doctoral students or postdoctoral researchers, that exist worldwide, and whether RAMICS could be interested to promote such openings, because sometimes a student or a researcher might not have immediately access to funding or to a position, but if their work is promoted through international organizations that organize summer schools and give small grants for traveling or for attending workshops, those same researchers might have more possibilities to promote the field and also find more opportunities later. So there are chances like this. I don't know whether RAMICS would like, to receive this information and disseminate it for students and researchers.
But we are already doing that. Actually, Theo is in charge, responsible, and he has been disseminating a number of summer schools in Italy, in Greece, the MOOC, then there was something in Indonesia, but we are already doing that. Actually, he's sort of fishing, on what is going on. So it would be much easier if people actually take responsibility to send it to us or him, and this has been happening. So, yeah.
One more question. If a student who's working on a PhD publishes, it's me over here, Georgina.
Yes.
If he publishes his PhD, and you know that Bologna now requires 2 minimum articles be published in a magazine that is of academic standards, meaning that it has an ABSN or an ISN. And if the student does not find that with you, with RAMICS or with the International Journal of Currency and Communities, then he will have a problem, legally speaking. And you know what I mean, what I'm trying to say? My question, yes?
Can you speak louder,
yeah,
please?
The question is whether it meets the legal standards of Bologna, because if you publish something online or you put it into the internet, and people can find it on the Google, and the student needs a academic standard magazine that meets the, the standards, the IBSN number in his publication to be able to defend his PhD. Do you meet those standards? Can he do that, or is he at risk of, I have had the experience that my work was rejected because they found it online. They told me, well, it's already there. You don't have an ISSN or an ISBN.
Okay,
Thank you.
I think you're asking or I understand your question as 2 questions, so I'm not sure which one you're addressing. does IHACCR meet the Bologna standards, which is a A or B journal? No, it is neither an A nor a B journal. And that's why I was saying the next step for the IHACCR is to become listed, which would be, it means being included in websites like the World Web of Science, which would mean that if you publish in the IHACCR, it counts towards your PhD. I think this is one of the questions you're asking. The other one is, the IHACCR is open source, and we are strongly committed to keeping it open source. So if you have published it before and you want to post your articles elsewhere, you're completely entitled to. Unlike other journals, IHACCR does not take the copyrights from the author. Yeah? If you do that, if you do this, that you post your article in website X and at the same time in a journal, and this is an official closed journal, this journal would fine you. They can sue you. IHACCR does not do that, and it's part of, I think, the things we preach, not to close it, not to privatize knowledge. I'm not sure what is your question, but I don't know if I answered your question because I don't know if I understood what was your question. They cannot translate if you don't speak to the microphone, Wilco.
Be able to defend a PhD in a public university, I believe all over the world. The student, to be able to publish, or to defend, I'm sorry, to be able to defend a PhD in a public university like La UNED or whichever institution, you need, as a student, you need to publish 2 or more articles in academically recognized standards, official standards. So if you publish somewhere else, they may not accept your work. That was the question.
Yeah, of course.
That you risk. I'm of course in favor of free access. The problem is that the student needs an article or 2 in a officially recognized academic standard magazine. And if he publishes elsewhere and then finds out that his work has already been published, but he needs an ISSN or an ISBN registration, he may have a problem because his work is elsewhere. And well, it happened to me in the past. So.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't want to go into too many details. IHACCR has an ISSN number, it has a DOI number. Now, what is recognized for your PhD varies by country. I don't know the legislation in Spain, so I cannot give you a straightforward answer. In the Netherlands, which is the one I know, IHACCR is recognized as a journal, and it would count towards your PhD. But I don't know Spain. You need to find out what's the legislation in Spain.
Okay. Thank you. One other question, and we should go on in the General Assembly.
I don't have a question, but a proposition. I would find useful that RAMICS has had a profile page on LinkedIn and maybe a discussion group. That would be also a way that releases you from some work, because every member that belongs to the discussion group may publish or share information in the group.
Thank you. Okay, I propose that we go on with the next point. Thank you for your comments, questions, reactions, and we see that in the perspectives, in the academic perspectives for PhD students and so on, and not only them, it is very important that the journal becomes acknowledged by our institutions, our academia. Okay. The 5th point is more technical. The 5th and the 6th will be technical about the general way RAMICS is organized. We have some small changes to implement in the internal regulations and in the Constitution. So internal regulations first. Just a reminder, they deal notably with membership fees, organization membership and voting procedures, and we would like to implement a few changes. The first point, and this will be a first resolution to be voted, we have to say that whereas the Constitution links membership with 1 year, we implemented something different practically, membership for 2016 and 2017. And so we ask you now to the members if you approve this resolution saying that we decided before the General Assembly to change these rules to be more practical. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not clear. You can see the sentence we propose as a resolution. So the General Assembly approves the decision of the Management Committee to apply the membership fees as stipulated in the internal regulations as adopted by the General Assembly in 2015 for the period 2016-2017, ending at the end of this year, so 31 December 2017. It's just a detail maybe, but we have to do that. So this is the first resolution. Are there questions about that? No? Yes? Microphone, please. The room is big and there are translators.
Yeah. Thank you. First question is, this is like one exception for these 2 years, so that means we have one membership fee for more or less 2 years.
18 months.
For 18 or something, yes, for 18 months. So it's like a discount for us as members. Okay.
This should be an exception, yes.
An exception.
For the beginning of the existence of this association, we thought it would be better to combine these 2 years in one membership.
Thank you. And the second question, then after that, the normal regulation will come back. That means we have the calendar year as a membership fee based. That's right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The resolution 2 is just to go on with the grid of management fee, membership fees for the next year. So we just put the previous one and say we take it, we keep it. Comments, questions? The third one is the introduction of the possibility of proxy vote into the internal regulations. And so this will mean this change in the Article 4 of the internal regulations. I'm sorry, these are a few details to be discussed now or just said. And so we propose to change the Article 4, as you can see on the screen, Article 4 on voting procedure for the General Assemblies. We propose to introduce a 4.1. The association may allow proxy vote through a specific form for credentials that we should define after. Each member present shall hold no more than one proxy vote. And then the 4.2 is the previous Article 4. The association may organize the voting procedure for General Assemblies through a relevant electronic vote scheme. With this precision, with electronic vote, no proxy vote is allowed. Are there comments? Questions? Yes? Edgar.
I have a question about organizations. Do they have the same voting rights as individuals?
Yes.
Aha.
Yes, one membership, one vote.
How many organizations are member? Because it's also where your money could come from.
How many
organizations are member?
for the moment, no.
None.
No organization.
Even not yours. All right. It would be interesting to see if we can find several ones doing that, because an organization easily can spend, for example, €1,000. No, yeah, it's just an idea.
We haven't found these generous organizations yet.
Suppose that we would do that. We would have several academics in COIN working on different topics together with universities, then, and we get only one vote, then we might be not so interested and just go for the individual options. So the same is for universities where you find more academics in the field. All of them might be interested and might have want to play a role in it. So maybe you can come up with something which is slightly more progressive. The second thing is about one vote per proxy.
Let me answer the first thing first. The risk of that is that we give a lot of power to one specific organization, and we want to keep one man or woman, one vote.
But that means for Erasmus University, where we have several people now who do research on community currencies, 4 I think at the moment, or 5, that they will all go for an individual one, and Erasmus will not decide to go for the... but that's a pity, isn't it? Because it's, for me, this is not a logical step if you want to have more income from organizations that are able to bridge the money gap that you have, and the fact that we have a lot of academics on very low income. So you could solve it like this. So I really like to ask the board if they could consider a better proposal on this one, where you do this in a way which is acceptable for Erasmus or for others that are doing this.
Okay, this is something we will discuss. I note it down. However, Erasmus University does not have one brain. Each person has a brain, and that's why we said one brain, one vote. Because Erasmus has been dead for a long time, you know, so each researcher has to think for him or herself and vote according to his or her ideas. So we have this trade-off between maximizing money or maximizing democracy.
Then I will vote for it, but then I ask to you if you can come up with an idea to make sure that you get more sponsorships from organizations that are able to do so. Because now it's not interesting. So second question is about the amount of proxy votes. Can we raise that up to 2 or 3? That was it.
Why? Why not, but why?
Because there are maybe 10 people in Japan, which is very interesting, but all the others are not. And if people want to be voting in this and have an active role, then we need more proxies. Or you need to be on the place where a lot of us are. That means at least a third of us. Otherwise, it's not working with your proxies. You don't get a quorum, etc. So I think you avoid certain problems if you're able to do this.
One suggestion might be on the first question of Edgar is that I think ECPR is doing that, is that they give universities the possibility to become a member, and when your university is a member, you get a discount as an individual member. So that might be a solution for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Thanks for that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm in the other side. I think it's better one brain, one vote. Just to mention that, and also the proxy vote doubt with the proxy vote will be eliminated if you just push forward a system for remote voting, which is secure and anonymous, and that will sort out the thing of the proxy vote, because everyone can vote from wherever they are, so that will be useful. And also if that tool for remote voting has some kind of possibility to have some debate, so you just not vote yes or no, and there can be a debate into the proposal, so the people can read the arguments of various persons before she or he decided what to vote. It will be interesting. There are many open source tools for remote voting. I can give you a hand in that if you want. So I think it's more relevant to push the electronic vote because also of the characteristic of the RAMICS than to work on the proxy thing.
We are not very computer savvy, so if you can suggest which software to use, we'd be grateful.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay. So this is the resolution 3, and so now you can vote for resolution 1, 2, 3. If there are no other questions. And then, okay, then sixth point in this General Assembly, changes in the Constitution. The fact here is that changes in the Constitution are possible with an ordinary General Assembly like this one, but with the condition of getting a positive vote of 2/3 of a correct ordinary General Assembly. So 2/3 of the vote of the members today must be positive in order to implement these changes in the Constitution. This was not the case for the internal regulations. So what sort of changes do we propose? This one, Resolution 4, adapting membership fees to calendar years, given that the Constitution today says in its Article 7.2 that payment of the membership fees brings right of membership for the 12 months after the date the payment is received. This implies complications for membership management, and so we propose to change this into this Article 7.2. Payment of the membership fees brings rights of membership for the calendar year in which the payment was received, or another calendar year chosen by the enrollee. Are there questions or comments? If not, the Resolution 5 is about more flexibility in the adaptation of internal regulations. So about membership fees, membership of organizations, and so on. And the Article 9 of the Constitution today says a schedule of internal regulations shall be drawn up, which specifies the practical arrangements for applying these articles of association. And the internal regulations shall be prepared by the management committee, and any amendments thereto shall be subject to approval by resolution of the General Assembly. And we propose to adapt the last sentence. This will be like that. The internal regulations shall be prepared by the management committee. They and any amendments shall enter into force temporarily before being subject to approval by resolution of the General Assembly. So this is a matter of being more flexible in the way we can implement small modifications in the internal regulations. Comments? Questions? So, yes?
But isn't there a risk that you do something and afterwards it's voted against?
Yes.
And then you have to redo it?
Of course, there is a risk.
Please
We hope
don't.
this won't appear, but there is a risk, of course.
Please don't.
Sixth resolution, it's about shortening the delay for inviting members to the General Assembly from 2 to 1 month. So the Article 10.5 says that the date, time, and venue of the ordinary General Assembly will be communicated by the Secretary through a written notification to all members at least 2 months in advance. And we would like to reduce this to 1 month. This will be simpler. Yes? Edgar?
Yeah, this is the only one that I'm opposing, so maybe you can tell us exactly why you want this, because in an international audience as we are, 1 month will be never enough. I like to make it longer, make it 6 months. It's like a statement, of course, to be, so I really like not to vote on this one and to say, let's not do it. It's not a very clever idea, except if you have a very good line of reasoning to do this. Because most people will vote yes on anything you say, which is okay. A lot of the things can be improved for next year, but this one we shouldn't do. 1 month, too short.
Why?
Maybe a comment on this point. We should know 6 months before in what venue the General Assembly will take place and what hour, what day. It's not possible. 2 months before, it's already difficult because of the constraints in the organization of the conference. And so we thought that 1 month before was enough for that.
The other thing is that in a few hours we will probably announce where the next biennial conference will be, and that means you will know when the General Assembly in 2 years from now will be. But we're always struggling with the year in between.
There's a confusion about determining the GA and this invitation. I think it's a French thing.
Why?
French
I guess Edgar is concerned that you only determine where the GA is a month ahead of time, where you just said that's not the thing. What you're talking about is this formal invitation letter that you need to send that specifies everything. So that's just a bureaucracy.
Okay. Resolution 7 is about changing the composition or the number of the persons in the management committee. So we propose to go from 5 to 7 members. We are 5 for the moment. We have seen in the previous period since the creation that there are several tasks to be implemented, and we need to be more actually in the management committee to share more things, discussions, and also share tasks. And so the proposal here is to increase the number of the persons of the management committee. And so the constitution should be changed like that. In the article 11.3, instead of having 2 complementary members complementary to the chair, secretary, and treasurer, we will have 4 complementary members. Yes?
Do you have names?
Yes.
Yes, this is another resolution.
We wouldn't have.
Does French law allow to say up to 4? So in a case you have a GA where not 7 people volunteer to be on the committee for the next 2 years.
I don't understand. Can you repeat?
Does French law allow for this to say up to 4 members? So in case you have a GA where not 7 people volunteer to be on the board for the next period, you can proceed with 5 or 6.
Why wouldn't we have 7 members?
Well, just because maybe there's not 7 people who want to do that job for the next 2
And
years.
then we have to close the association, I guess. If we
Well,
don't
that's
have
why I'm saying if it's at up to 4, you're not strapped down to that number.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's not a problem to get 4, precisely 4, rather than up to 4. This will be more flexible, yes, but I don't think we have problems with that.
And if we do?
Sorry?
If we do in the future?
I have another proposition, and I'm a member of a corporation where we have exactly this problem. So we have the management board, and we have something which. It's okay. Ah, yeah. So I have a proposition of a member of a corporation where we have a management board, and we have something which we call assistance to the management board, which is elected but not officially written down into the management board, and that makes things easier because they are elected, they have they things to do, but they are not officially included into the board with all this bureaucracy things in the background.
Can we do that? After 4? 2 or 4?
Yes, that would be good, yes.
And then we say 2 or 4, depending on what we can get. And then we are always in odd numbers.
Just,
It's a good idea.
actually, on this point, we discussed about possible organizations within ourselves and in creating another place to get elected members and so have advisors discuss and so on. And we thought that this would be something complex, and we didn't think that this complexity was valuable for the moment, actually, given the small size of the association. So we stayed on this point of getting something quite simple, actually, management committee and the General Assembly, given that, in fact, the management committee has been opened in the past to two other persons, not in everything of the management committee, but in some discussions and decisions that were important with these persons. These were August Corons, who was not part of the management committee, but as the organizer of this conference, it was important to include him in a series of discussions, and also Teodoro Criscione, sorry for your name, Criscione, as the communication and IT manager. So this was something more flexible than the only rigidity of this management committee and General Assembly. I don't know if I answer properly to your question. Maybe going back to the previous question of Leander, maybe yes, we could take some security and include rather not 4, but up to 4 complementary members. What do you think about that?
I propose we keep this, because right now we do have these extra 2 names. I propose that in the next assembly we rediscuss and we try to change it to the up to 4 formulation.
Yes, yes.
So at this moment I think we have to vote for the 4, and you can take our commitment that in the next General Assembly we will review this and change it to this up to 4 formulation. And we also need to discuss the legal, what we can do legally with the French bureaucracy.
Okay. Other comments on this point? So we keep for the moment 4 complementary members, and the resolution 8 is another detail. It's more a detail, actually. It's about making the composition of the management committee more flexible. In the present Constitution, it's said in the Article 11.4 that the position of secretary shall be granted to the organizer of the upcoming biennial conference, and we propose to suppress this sentence in order to be more flexible about the composition and the positions inside the management committee. Resolution 8. Comments? Questions? Okay. So now we can vote to these resolutions. Do we have one?
No.
Okay.
We have to ask Carlos what the French law says. I don't think the law will allow you to follow.
I don't know if it's a problem.
It's too flexible for the law.
So the 7th and maybe last point is about the management committee elections. The point is that in the Constitution, the management committee is elected for 2 years. So from one biennial conference to the other. 4th General Assemblies may take place or have to take place every year. And so we propose now a list of persons for the next management committee, given that we discussed between the present day management committee to know what we could do, opening, not opening, and so on. And actually we found that we need for the moment some stability in the management committee, opening, small changes, stability in order to go on the previous dynamics that we started to implement. And so we propose today something that it's not open, but a list of persons, including the 5 previous persons of the management committee and 2 other persons. And the list we propose for the vote is this one. So I read the names: Jérôme Blanc, Auguste Corrons as the former, not now, not the former, the present day organizer of the conference, soon the former.
Shall we give them the chance to introduce themselves?
Yes. Georgina Gómez, Makoto Nishibe, Ricardo Orsi, and Ariadne Scalfoni-Rigo, and Rolf Schroeder. I have to say also that in the Constitution, the 2 last organizers have to be part, anyway, of the management committee. So this includes necessarily Ariadne Scalfoni-Rigo and Auguste Corrons. Maybe Ricardo and Auguste, if you can say some words to present yourself, even if many people already know you, this would be good.
Can you come here?
Here. Bueno, por mi parte, encantado de poder formar parte. ¿La traducción funciona?
Pero nadie tiene...
¿Nadie tiene en castellano?
No.
Ah.
Si quieres, Auguste, si quieres te lo traduzco. Al decirlo en español te lo traduzco.
Well, hello everybody, I am Ricardo Orsi. I am working in CIMSC since 2005 in the Universidad de Luján, Buenos Aires, Argentina, and there we have a group that research on CIMSC in Argentina and other parts of the world. I'm very proud for the proposition to be part of the management committee, and I will try to do my best to continue and to grow with everybody in this in this dream to have to eliminate the monopoly of an official currency and to have our independent complementary currency. Well, that's my dream. I don't know if it's all of the dream.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, my talk will be very short because my English level is what you know that it is. I'm very proud to take part of this committee, and I'll try to do my best, and I can assure that I will help the following organizer because I'm really conscious about the work that it represents to organize an event as the one that we are having now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And Auguste is professor at the Open University of Catalonia since
2003.
Okay. So we had
and
one European...
And I'm finishing my PhD related with the analysis of motivational and attitudinal factors that influence the willingness to take part of virtual non-monetary systems.
So basically we are adding one European and one Latin American, another Latin American.
Okay, comments, questions? So we can vote now for the list of the next management committee. And the last point is open, so other points to be considered. If you have some things to say ask, comment, and so on, propose, suggest. We can do that now. Yes? Gilson Schwartz.
Given the importance of global initiatives, I just want to invite all the colleagues to the workshop tomorrow that I am offering to discuss the United Nations Education, Science and Culture Organization, UNESCO, proposal of complementary currency to stimulate media and information literacy. And it's just an open call, because I know we are very deep into the conference for the third consecutive day, and there are so many interesting things tomorrow and Sunday still to take place. So I just wanted to call our colleagues this important opportunity to join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Other persons who want to say yes? Ton Dalmau.
Yo quisiera proponer de...
No, it's okay, I will translate it, August, okay.
Muy simple. Quiero proponer de cantar una canción para terminar de una forma bien.
Okay.
No tan serios, no tan serios.
Ton proposes to sing, so we finish this assembly in a less serious manner.
Okay. So, can we close the General Assembly?
With a song.
Yes.
The song about money.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your participation. And enjoy the last parts of this conference and the next days, because it's going on, yes, tomorrow. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry. The place of the next conference will be known at the end of this day, during the closure session. Just for the members, please come here with your ballots and sign the form.
Okay, Ton has just asked me to translate the content of the song in Catalan, which is